Are we ready for war? There's no former Marine. You never lose that.
And get the job done and learn how to discipline myself, not only in the military. That discipline helped me so much.
Yeah, in regular life. So that when those emotions do ramp up, you have something to ground you.
Welcome to the Classic Man Podcast. I'm Justin Kashmirchik, also known as the Jump Cut King. And before we dive into today's episode, a quick word. First off, if this is your first time tuning in, hit the subscribe button, tap the bell, and drop a link. And if any of this resonates with you, support it. It costs nothing and means everything. You can catch Classic Man on all major podcast platforms, so head over to classicmanpodcast.com after the show for guest info, all the links, bonus content, and maybe support the team. Buy him a cup of coffee. Secondly, beyond being a friend and brother to these guys featured on this podcast, I also launched a business that might just change the way you think about web design. It's called the EGT Universe, and you can find out all about it at egtuniverse.com. And to get on the ground floor when we launch the public service, you can join the newsletter and get in on a whole new way to build your brand online. No more Squarespace, no more WordPress, just a sleek, high-end luxury web experience without the price tag of a Fortune 500. And if you or someone you know is launching something or operates a brand, a nonprofit, a business, and they need a digital facelift, my marketing company can help them. We've already started serving startups, creatives, and even big organizations. It's a real impact. Go to egtuniverse.com and drop me a line. But for now, turn it up, tune in, really focus. Let's get into today's content.
What's up? Glad you're with us. This is episode 2 of the Classic Man Podcast. I'm Coach Carter. I have my main man, Alex, with me. And today we have an interesting topic that I want to get into. First, I'll let him say what's up to you guys.
Thank you for having me back here with you, Mr. Carter.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate being here on the Classic Man. Need y'all to tap in and learn some new skills from us.
Yeah, and that's our whole goal, is to discuss the things that go on inside the brains of modern men and separate the toxic from the healthy. Give you ways to cope and deal and grow and become a healthy version of you. When there are so many influencers and people out there nowadays who spread that toxic masculinity, who spread negative things, whether it's about men or how men should act or how they should respond in situations. So we've gotten a lot of great feedback from the first episode so far. So I'm really appreciative of everybody who's been tapping in with us and getting linked in.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so today what we're going to talk about is, are we ready for war? So you have two soldiers here. You know, I like that the mindset of the Marines is there's no former Marine. When you were a Marine, yeah, always a Marine. And so a lot of vets that I know who enjoyed being in the Army kind of feel the same way, where you never lose that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I feel that, man. I'm always proud that I got the opportunity to serve our country and defend the United States. But more than just that, learn so much more from great people, learn how to be around multi-cultures and still fit in, get the job done, and learn how to discipline myself. And not only in the military, but once I left, that discipline helped me so much.
Yeah, in regular life.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's so much that we learned from the Army and the services in general. So we won't make too much fun of the Air Force and Navy today. But there's no way in one video to encompass everything that you learn from the military, from being able to deal with different personalities, different leadership types, understanding how to maneuver with toxic leadership, healthy leadership, a mix of the two. Because within a chain of command, you have so many people over you. Even once you're far up, you still have so many people over you. So we can't even begin to talk about everything that you learn. But for today, one of the instances that I know is going to come up is discipline, which will tie into the last episode. So one thing that we're taught in the Army is that you're either going to be smart or you're going to be strong. And that's something that sounds funny at first. Okay, well, why can't you be both? What that statement means is, for those of you who are unaware, there's a term we have called getting smoked. Okay, so when you don't follow directions, when you don't follow orders, when you don't get things done the right way, those are the videos you guys see on YouTube or online of soldiers doing exercises. Yep, there you go.
2, 3.
Flashbacks that you get when you hear the numbers like that. So that comes from not getting the job done when you need to, not being able to follow orders, making dumb decisions, making no decision, doing what you want to do. There's so many reasons you get smoked. And then that's when you're out of training. When you're in training, you'll get smoked for no reason.
For no reason, just to bring that. Oh,
yeah.
You know, the one thing I remember about that the most is like, even though I didn't do something, somebody else in the team did, we're all going to get it. We're all going to catch it because that's what helps us build a team.
Yeah.
You know,
man,
when one's wrong, we're all wrong.
So we had one guy, and when I went, it was during the winter and the heat was broken. So the senior drill sergeant said that we had to be in summer PTs for sleep. Cannot use anything else. All right. So the other drill sergeant, who was the one that was there that night with us, told us, as long as it's part of your summer or as long as it's part of your PTs, you can wear it. So if you want to put winters on, whatever, just don't put the OCP pattern with the PTs.
Right.
So fleece cap, whatever it is, because the heat's broken, we'll let you wear whatever. All right, cool. So one of our guys went to sleep with his fleece cap on and a long sleeve. But that night when they come through, so while you're asleep, either from your company or different companies, whoever's on that night, they come into the room, make sure everybody's asleep, make sure you're in the right uniform, all of that type of stuff, and make sure that fire guard is actually awake, all of that. So they come through, and this night it just happens to be our senior drill sergeant. And she told us that we couldn't wear any of that stuff. So even though we had permission from a drill sergeant, because she didn't know at the time, and because it's not what she said, she woke us all up, and we all got smoked by him wearing the fleece cap. Right? So he was the only one not doing anything, and the rest of us had to suffer because he had the fleece cap on, and technically he wasn't even in the wrong in that scenario.
Yeah.
You know, but even leadership mixing up information still causes problems for those downhill.
When the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing.
Exactly.
It'll cause problems.
Right, and you'll be right into the middle of something or somewhere where you had no business being.
Right. Now, I had that similar situation, a little different, though. In a line unit, it's super strict.
Oh, yeah.
Don't even leave your lock off your drawer, because if they find an open padlock,
oh, yeah.
The guys were sneaking snacks from Chow Hall.
Mm.
And they had a Coke, they had donuts, they had cookies. The same thing happened. We all got smoked while he ate and drank all of that Coke and soda and cookies in the middle of the night.
That might be worse, though.
It lasted forever.
Oof.
It lasted forever. I remember this one game they would call Degrees of Pain. And they would take a thermometer, and they had it, you know how they had the pillars? You know, when they tell you to toe the line?
Yeah.
So they had these pillars in the bays, and they took a thermometer and they hung it on the wall there. And then they brought the fans out. And they put the fans right in front of the thermometer. And they was like, all right, now everybody open your window. And it was like, the degrees of pain today is 2 degrees. So the objective, before we're done getting smoked, we have to raise that thermometer 2 degrees before it's done and over with.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of pain, man.
For sure.
For them cookies and Coke and donut.
Yeah. Everything that we know we're not supposed to have, but somebody is always sneaking something in somewhere.
Man, always.
You know, we had one guy recycled. He was almost recycled a second time because of all the snacks that he had. Or one dude, he had, all right, we're going to get to the topics, but I really want to tell this story because he had an orange in his Camelback. All right. He put an orange in his Camelback. The only problem with this was we were going to the range. And so now they're a lot stricter because of certain things that have happened over the years with soldiers who decide they don't want to be there anymore. We have to do a full check.
Yeah.
Every time we leave the range. And so they account for brass. They make sure there's no brass or live rounds in anything you have. So if I am going to get searched, I am not going to bring food with me to the range.
Dude, no.
Or I'm going to make sure that I have consumed that food that I brought and make sure it's disposed of before I'm going to get searched.
Yeah.
He forgot it was in there apparently. And the crazy part was, as the drill sergeants were smoking us, that portion when you're out at the ranges start pretty early. So you don't get hot food. We're not at the defect. Right. So we had hot A's, whatever. We hadn't had oranges in like a week.
Where did you get the orange from?
How long have you had this orange in your stuff, bro? That you haven't. Everybody knows if you're gonna sneak something. I'm not gonna act like I never snuck anything into the base. Nah, I snuck a few things in there. But as soon as you get in, as soon as you get a moment where you can eat it, you eat it. You dispose of the evidence and you keep it pushing.
Right.
You do not hold on to things for days or have the opportunity for somebody to find what you had. You know, so if the toilets were stopped up, it was probably my wrappers.
Dude.
That or sneak them to the laundry room.
Okay. Yeah, because it was always downstairs.
Yeah.
I forgot about the laundry room was always downstairs. That's crazy.
Yeah. But all right, let's actually get rolling into this because this is a good topic. And I want to know your thoughts on whether or not you think today's men can handle it. And with that statement that we said, either be smart or be strong, that thought process is if you're getting smoked all the time, you're going to be strong.
Yeah.
And if you were smarter, you wouldn't be getting smoked. So you can be smart, do the right thing, follow orders, handle the objectives, and not get smoked, or make the dumb decisions, get smoked, and be stronger.
And you know, the one thing that they would always tell us, excuse me, as a private, I remember my drill sergeant saying, look, you don't even have to think. I don't even want you to think. I'm going to tell you exactly what to do. All you got to do is perform and do it.
For sure. It really is that simple. I mean, and when you haven't, at least I had good leadership for my platoon, not necessarily the entire company at all times, but a lot of them, they want to see you succeed at the end of the day.
Right.
So while they're hard on you, while they're yelling at you, while they smoke you, if you genuinely don't understand something, they're going to break it down and teach it to you because that's their job. They're not there to make you fail. They're there to turn you into a soldier, which means understanding how to do land nav. I can't understand how to do land nav if I'm getting smoked for not knowing how to do it.
Right.
Right. So you weren't getting smoked for needing to have assistance to understand how to do something. Right. Like they weren't just jerks about it. But on the other hand, yeah, you still had to put the work in, the effort in yourself. And if you did that, then they made sure that you knew what was going on.
You know, a good thing on land nav is that when you go through land nav, they don't make you do it alone. You got a team because, you know, when you have your battle buddy there, that gives you a little more confidence to be able to say, hey, okay, I'm not sure on what to do. Can you help me understand this a little bit more? And then I think if I can remember back doing land nav, you know, it's been a while, but it's probably something I should sharpen up on.
Yeah.
But you know, they would give us a whole map, and they would say, okay, you're going to see these orange signs. If you get to that orange sign, you've made it, and it has the same number. You've made it to the right spot. But having to break that down, you know, on a topographical map, is a little bit harder to do it when you just open it up. You know, because what people don't know is that once you open that map, there's 1,000 numbers and letters, A, B, C, D, all the way, you know, going over. And how do you find all that stuff? And then if you've never used a protractor, a compass, all these good things, it's very confusing as a 19-year-old trying to figure that out.
It really is. And then you start to add on the different features, terrain features, your Hidden Valley salad ranch dressing.
Yeah.
So knowing what the elevation is, knowing if there's a ridge, you have to have a little bit of practice, and then where you are don't always have those features for you to see in person to compare it to what you see on the map.
Yeah.
So that was what was really cool about California is we did have some valleys. We had the mountains. You could see, okay, yeah, these mountains when I look out here are taller than these mountains, and now I can correlate that, at least in my mind, to the thickness of the lines that show the elevation on the map. And that practice gets you to the point of understanding what something might look like in the future when you just see the map.
Right.
So, and then, having somebody with you who understands how to do it.
Man, that's true. Because, you know, for me, my very first time when I did land nav, we had to do 3 daytime and 3 nighttime. And I didn't have a clue. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have a clue. And some of these guys were pretty good. You know, they were a little bit older than me. One guy, He had broke his leg or his ankle, I think, or something, and they recycled him.
Got you.
And man, that guy was such a key element to our team because he had already been through it.
Yeah.
So then when we're, going through PowerPoint, trying to figure all this out, they're giving us all these classes, you're just like trying to take it all in.
Right.
But then you go out to the field and you're like, all right, what do I do?
Yeah.
So then you're like, oh, hey man, do you remember where we started first or this and that? Oh yeah. So then, that's when you really begin to start noticing that teamwork and that battle buddy and like, okay, I know I need one. I know I need another partner here, a man here to help me get through this with the right mindset that's paid attention, had that discipline to focus, not all over the place. You know?
And sometimes just keeping you grounded and giving you a particular task to focus on.
Yeah.
Because what people don't realize when we're doing all of this stuff, and whether it's basic or AIT, but particularly basic, is we don't get sleep from the time we get there through that entire first night.
Yeah.
And then you should have already eaten. So since you were supposed to have eaten, you're also not getting food that entire first night. So for people who get hangry or don't know how to act when they're sleepy or tired, you have both of those things at the same time through that entire first night. And then you're up that entire day, whether it's, you're getting your haircuts, you're getting your CAC, all of the things that you take care of in processing. So you're sleep deprived and starving to start off the process.
Don't forget freezing.
Oh, yeah. For us, it was definitely freezing. My first MRE was at 4 a.m. out. It was not even 20 degrees that day. And that was like my introduction to the Army.
Okay.
It's like, yeah, we just out here freezing, eating an MRE. And it seemed cool to me, but I wanted to be there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, this is what we do. Like, this is finally living that lifestyle of being in the Army and freezing my butt off. And I don't mind being cold. So the opposite would have been worse for me. If it was 110, I'd have been miserable.
So, of course, back in the day in 2007, if you were going to be any type of infantry or if you signed up as 18X, 11 Bravo, whatever you went that was going to be infantry or some type of special forces, you went to Fort Benning. And, of course, it was warm. And they really trick you when you go into a line unit, So I told my recruiter, I was like, look, man, I want to be the baddest guy you guys have here. Which was probably one of the craziest, dumbest things I could have said to a recruiter.
Yeah.
To be honest. But I get to Fort Benning. They're like, all right, it's easy. It's cake there, You're on main post. You're in processing. They're going to give you cake. They're giving you all kinds of ice cream. It's just go to the chow hall and enjoy yourself, So then they go back and they're like, all right, everybody going to this next group. I feel bad for you. You're going to the House of Pain. And I was like, it's not me. I was like the third guy on the list going to House of Pain because of my mouth. I want to be this guy. And man, when I got there, it was completely different than how they had us in processing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God, dude. It was wild.
Oh, yeah.
The first night, we froze all night, like you said. And they put us in a room, and they had the air condition all the way down. And we sat there with our yellow packets, our manila packets they send you with,
Yeah.
I swear for about 6 hours we sat there, no one in the room, quiet, just the packet,
freezing,
waiting for someone to come in, freezing, and some PT shorts is all I get. Yeah, man, that's crazy. I remember them days.
Yeah, and that's part of the difference between what we go through and what I can't even say what civilians go through because
right. What do you guys go through?
Right, yeah, because you're not voluntarily doing this, and that was part of why I joined.
Yeah.
So because I always felt like I was cut from a different cloth.
Yeah.
Same. And it's easy to say that.
Right.
It's different to prove it.
That sure is.
It is. So while I got through it and I feel like once I got through and I did everything, I was supposed to be able to do this. That's how I'm built. But at the same time, if you don't do it, we will never know.
And you know what? The one thing I can say is that I can say going through it with everybody, having the mindset and being like, all right, well, Carter feels the same way I feel right now. So if he feels that way, I feel that way, we're in it together. The thought process of knowing that my battle buddy next to me most likely has the same feelings I have right now, and we're just in the suck, makes it easier. It's easier for me personally, it was easier to have that good positive mindset with a thought process of, okay, he's going through the same thing I'm going through, but if he's doing it, I can do it too.
Right. We're getting through this together.
Right.
That's really what pushed me as well. One, because I am competitive. So if somebody else is doing something, then I know I can from that point of view, but also from that teamwork point of view, and then the leadership point of view.
Yeah.
Because if I want these guys to know that they can depend on me and rely upon me, then I have to be able to execute it or get the job done myself.
Right.
So even with, I can't remember if that was our first episode or something else I was recording, talking about, it was the first episode, the different soldiers' names I say while I'm running and I'm working on my 2 miles.
Yeah.
And the reason why I do that is because when I step into the unit and I ask the question, who feels like I will bring you back from both a mental point of view, like, yeah, he's sharp, he knows the process that we use within the Army to do things. He knows the Army decision-making process. Yeah. You know, he has command and control, another term that we throw out there. But at the same time, he's also physically fit. So I know that he can do these things.
Yeah.
Right. I know if there's a heavy freaking tree on top of me because things flew everywhere, that he can lift that tree off of me. Or when I roll jujitsu wise and we do our warm-ups, I never go get the 150-pound dude to put on my back to run around the mat. I go get the 250-pound dude, because even if you're 180 to 200 with all of your gear that you have on,
you better train how you fight.
Exactly. So that's the guy I pick up and I run around with, or I go do the Stairmaster and I put the sandbags on my back as if I was carrying somebody, because I want my team to know that at the end of the day, no matter which avenue you're looking at, you got some guys who are smart, you got some guys who are strong, but the person in charge, or the person you want to be able to depend on, is the one that you know is both. And so just having that trust, having that faith in one another, letting them know that at the end of the day, I'm not leaving you there. Man, got a good shot. So, I mean, I don't want to be next to somebody who can't aim.
That's for sure. and you know, honestly, being that I've been in combat before, and had a couple tours cross seas, that does make a difference. And the one thing that people really don't know, man, is that your endurance really matters.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care if you're the weakest man in the bunch, you better have some endurance, because if you can't run in the position you need to run when you're already accelerated in your breathing, your heart's going, you know, that's the whole point and why we do things to muscle memory, is for when you get into that position of where, okay, you can't control your emotions, your body still has control of what it's going to do. You're going to make that motion and keep on doing exactly what you're supposed to do, even though you're having that adrenaline rush. You know, that muscle memory really matters, especially to men, because when you're the leader of whether your unit, whether it's a household, your family, if you don't have control of your emotions and you're not controlling, your adrenaline starts to spike.
That's good.
You're going to lose.
That's good.
Bad things are going to start turning, and you're not going to be able to think properly and make the proper decisions because your mind's everywhere.
Yeah. And even while we're on that note, I mean, being able to create lists is probably one of the biggest things that the Army taught me.
Yeah.
So I always used sticky notes to kind of try to get things done. But even if it's a conversation that I'm having, or I'm talking to one of my guys and I'm like, hey, all right, if this is the conversation you're going to have with your girl, then you're going to forget some of these things.
Yeah.
So let's make it flow. Let's get some bullet points together. Let's make this list, sit down, talk about it, so that when those emotions do ramp up and you start to get where that adrenaline is controlling you, and you start to lean on those previous responses, you have something to ground you.
You know, I'm glad you said that, because I think I asked you earlier today, I was talking to you about a subject that I wanted to talk about. That was, does your thoughts make you sick?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
And your thought process, man, can change the way a whole situation goes.
Yeah.
If you're not clearly thinking through those situations, you know?
Right. So think of it like a trail for any guys who like to hike. Or in Toledo, there's a lot of metro parks. And so you can just go through and walk around. And on a trail where everything's green and growing and nobody's walked that way yet, there's no growth.
Yeah.
Right? And what happens is once you start to walk a path, it starts to wear down. and
Right.
you create a path through it. So when we went up that mountain out in Cali, you could see exactly where we walked all the way from camp, even though it was far away.
Yeah.
As you went up the mountain, you can see where we walked through because it started to wear in. And you had 4 guys stepping over.
Get them ruts.
Yep, the exact same spot. And what happens is the next person to go up is going to follow those tracks.
Exactly.
Right? And so your brain, as you have a thought, the very first time, so if you're always negative with yourself, that very first thought is going to create that pathway.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next thought you have that's negative is going to clear that pathway even more, make it a little easier for that thought to get through. And then you're going to make it a little easier for that thought to get through with that next one. The next thing you know, the easiest thoughts to get through are all the negative ones. You never created a pathway for positive thoughts.
Yeah.
And same comes through with mental toughness. So if you have never completed anything, you don't believe you can complete anything, you're going to give up because you haven't created those pathways of proving to yourself that you can get through something.
Hey, it's just me again, and we'll get back to that content in under 10 seconds. But real quick, podcasts like this don't grow unless you help. Hit the subscribe button, smash the like, and if you've already subscribed, thank you. Take a second right now and text this to 3 people you know. You never know who needs to hear what's coming next.
The Army does a good job of this. For example, you don't start off with the 10-mile ruck to finish basic.
Right.
So that's not what you're walking into. You start off with going to the rappel tower. And you might ruck there and then get bussed back. And that's going to be 1.5 miles with your assault pack.
Yeah. Yep.
And then the next one's going to be to the confidence course, but that's going to be 2.5, 3 miles. And then you're still just going to have your assault pack, or they might start to ramp it up and give you your ruck, but just a lighter load in it.
Man, you're lucky. Is that how you got started?
Yeah, for that half there. So it was a big jump for me because I went to Fort Jackson initially because technically military police is not considered a combat role.
What?
Right? It's considered
I thought it
combat
was.
support to others, but with it being military, so Bravo would be considered, and Bravo goes to 1 station unit training also.
Yes.
And that's how that is. But for Echoes, we don't. But once you get to Echo school, they treat it like it, right. So for me, it was a huge jump going from going from Fort Jackson and then going over to Fort Leonard Wood, where it's a whole different breed where they still hold you to that standard of the rest of the MPs. And I mean, they're asking us to do stuff that as I started watching other people, other military police companies and seeing how they were doing things, I realized, okay, you have us doing that stuff. That's not the way we were brought up doing stuff.
Yeah.
And even the way they got treated by their drill sergeants. So the yelling, even the way they got smoked and things were different.
Right.
So for us, we got made fun of and put under stress in a different type of way.
Yeah.
So, all right, for you guys, it was a lot of yelling and exercises, which I actually would have preferred a little bit in the sense of yelling at me doesn't bother me. Right. And so if you're yelling at me and I'm doing exercises, I like exercises. We can do this all day.
Yeah.
But when you sitting there and you just making jokes, like cutting into people and, you know, getting into their self-esteem and like their ability and messing with them on the mental side. And that's the type of stress that they tried to provide, where it's like, okay, you got troops out here doing things and you need to resupply them, or you need to do whatever. Your brain needs to be able to function.
Yeah. And, you know, the one thing I can say that I guess I prefer that they would do that with MPs, because the one thing I know is when we deployed, if you were an MP and you weren't at like Camp Liberty or a big camp, you're going with a line unit.
Yeah.
You're going to be put with a line unit out at a FOB or a COB.
For sure.
And
that's what happens to us.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you're treated as kind of like scouts as well.
Yep.
So you end up, for us Echoes with a huge difference, or we had different strike teams, we had a Viper element, different pieces that ended up operating much more like a line unit, especially with clearing villages and just elements that I feel like you would have been better prepared for had Echoes as well been OSUT, like the Bravos. Kilos aren't technically either. The dog handlers, they have 3 different parts, so theirs like takes forever to get through training.
I bet.
But at the same time, you're with the dogs, so I feel like that's kind of like cool. And then they finish up theirs at Lackland, the Air Force Base. So
in San Antonio, man, that's easy work. You lucky on the Air Force Base, you lucky dogs.
Exactly. So it started off rough for them, and it got progressively easier. But yeah, it was a huge difference in that regard. And then what they expected you to be able to accomplish was also different, because they're holding you here, yet you were initially trained with people who are going to be HR, for example,
right?
Finance, for example.
And that's crazy, you know. Well, I guess that's basic. You know, you're forming up the whole. Getting your basic structure, and then you're going to go to your AI or tech school, whatever branch you're in, whatever they call it. So that makes sense.
So, but the whole point of that was they give you opportunities to create wins, especially because most of those in the non-combat MOSs are less physically fit.
Yeah.
So I'm sure I probably would have a much different point of view if I did start off with OSIT with the other MPs, because even within the Echoes, a lot of us were in a lot better shape than everybody else.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do, right? So yeah, if you're coming in for a non-support role, you're coming in from off the couch, from back home, didn't really have anything else to do with your life, and that's why you chose this path, and you never really prepped for it or took it serious.
Yeah.
You are going to need much more of those smaller wins. Like, you could have put me on a 10-mile ruck to start off, and I personally would have been okay. But it might have been 3 of us out of 140 that could have done it.
Yeah. So, quick question out there for you and the viewers. I don't know how many of you have been there that are veterans, and I'm not poking at you, but at the ramp of the war, they had something like that. I don't know if they still have it now, and it was offensive, but they called it Fat Camp.
Oh yeah, we still have Fat Camp.
Okay. So there you go. So any of you that've been out there, you've been through that part where you do the extra work before you get the basic to help you out.
Facts. I got one on me. I might tag, bro. Don't get mad at me if I tag you in this part. All right. The truth is the truth. If that's where you had to go. No, but they did him bogus because they let him go through in process and kept him with us. He was from the same city. He's from Detroit, one of my boys. And he ended up having to go to Fat Camp, but they didn't tell him until they were sending us to our units.
Oh.
So I don't know what it was that they caught at the last second or whatever it was that made them decide to pull him. I mean, he was on the line, but to me at that point, let him go through. But he was working hard. So you knew that he would have been okay if they had sent him, at least in my judgment. But they still decided to send him over there. We got separated. We ended up linking back up because he ended up at the same AIT as me, just behind. So he'd have been that next cycle. But yeah, he made it through. He looked a lot better. So Fat Camp really did work. They put him through it, and he came back like in much better shape.
That's good.
Than where he went in there, but it also does give you an opportunity to start to make that progress.
Yeah, I'm sure that's easier once you catch up and get to it, because that's a lot of work.
It is, and we had a couple people in my company that probably should have went to Fat Camp and gotten a little bit of better shape before getting sent to the unit, especially when, I mean, my senior drill sergeant for my platoon, every single PT test he took, he had a perfect score.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So that's the level that he had coming in. And that's what, I won't say what he necessarily held us to. Like, obviously every single person's not going to get there, but he was pretty strict with it. So when you had those people falling out, or forget just falling out or having problems, the injuries that you sustain,
man,
because one of my other guys from Detroit, so we had quite a few people from Michigan, quite a few from Detroit. I was the only one that made it out of basic as scheduled. Because of Fat Camp injuries, stuff like that. He ended up with stress fractures in his knee.
Oh.
And so his heart was there. He didn't even want to, he waited like an extra week and a half, 2 weeks, and that just made it worse.
Yeah.
Before going and even getting seen. And you already know how it is. Nobody is going
to sit call.
Exactly. Unless you absolutely have to go. I mean, I had a stress fracture in my foot. Even before I went, I fractured my L3 in my back.
Oh.
When I was there, once I got to AIT, man, whatever shoes I bought, my running shoes at Fort Jackson, I didn't realize they were messing up my back. So I would do PT, and then one morning I couldn't get up. I could not get out of the bunk. I was on the top bunk, bro. And I was in like some of the worst pain I've ever been in my life. And I still didn't go to sick call.
Yeah, dude, you'll get made fun of so hard in there.
Facts, yeah. So I ended up going to self-care, whatever it is, grabbing some meds, popping them. And then, so I started just staying in my boots, because I realized when I was in my boots that's when I felt the best. So I would try to keep those on as much as possible. Realized it when asked them, hey, I got my other, you are only allowed one pair of running shoes. So I had to go back to the locked away room, swap them out with my other shoes. They let me do that. And it took about a week and a half, 2 weeks before my back got better. But my PT score looked crazy because, the test that we took 3, but that middle one looked crazy because I couldn't move. Like I couldn't deadlift, couldn't run. Sprint drag carry was trash.
Now, can I ask you on that? What is what has changed in the APFT from, I guess, when I was in 2016 in pro?
Oh, yeah. No, that's actually a good question. And this is another good question for those of you who think that you might be able to make it in the Army, but you don't know what the fitness test is or what those standards are. So the current fitness test, it actually just changed as of June 1st. So it is extremely difficult to fail, right? So you can pass this test. I promise you can pass this test. Now, can you max out the test? It's also extremely difficult to max out. So they've made the top to be difficult, but the bottom is also super easy. So first off, you're going to start with the deadlift. It's going to be a 3-rep max. So to max it out, you need a 340.
Okay.
You got to move 340 3 times with the hex bar. The hex bar is wide. So for a short guys, it's a little bit tougher, not necessarily from the weight, but because of how far your traps are spread. Yeah, it kind of takes away that. It's just an awkward positioning. So 340 on that, which isn't terrible. That's a bit more than triple my body weight, honestly. So for those lighter weight guys, it can be a bit tougher to max out, but the minimum on that is 135.
Okay, that's not bad.
135. That's all you got to be able to pull. 135. So if you can't pull 135 as a grown man,
right, go ahead and sit back down.
Yeah, literally. So that's just what it is. All right. So then after that, you have, and it's not in any particular order from this point, but they just took out the ball throw, overhead ball throw. So you had to throw the ball behind you overhead with both hands. So you had to get, for men, it was in the ballpark, the minimum was like 6-7 meters, which is pretty easy. But then to max it, you needed almost 15 meters.
That's like throwing a keg. Big guys.
Yeah, so for taller people, that was another one where your height gave you the leverage and the angle to be able to get a good throw out there. For shorter guys, it made it a bit tougher to get the angle to get a good throw. So I would hit anywhere from 12 to 13 meters and would be just shy of maxing that one.
Wow.
Even though I was usually one of the strongest guys out there.
Right.
So like I maxed the deadlift every single time, yet my ball throw just couldn't quite get it to the max.
Right.
After that, you'll have the sprint drag carry. Now this one to me is one of the best events for real life combat.
Yeah, I can see that.
But it sucks the most in terms of getting the PT test done.
Yeah.
So for this one, the distance down is 25 meters, and then you come back 25 meters. So first you're going to sprint. You sprint down, sprint back. When you get back, there's going to be 90 pounds sitting on a sled. You're going to pull that sled backwards 25 meters down. It has to go all the way past the line, flip it back around, bring it 25 meters back. By the time you get done with that, your legs are toast.
I bet you burning.
So then you turn and you shuffle. You have to shuffle down to the line, 25 meters, shuffle back. Then you're going to pick up kettlebells. You're going to have 40 pounds in each hand. You're going to run with the kettlebells down, run with the kettlebells back. And then you're going to sprint down and sprint back one final time.
And I actually like that. I like that one. I say I like that one because doing that, that's like, it reminds me of equipment carry.
Right.
So if you're having to carry equipment, and one of the times I can think of is in 2009, I was on a QRF team, and we got called out.
Yeah.
And one of the units had a hidden IED, and it was pretty bad. But we couldn't get up to the scene. We had to park back and carry everything up.
Yeah.
And at midnight, in the middle of the night, being woke up out of your sleep for a QRF, rushing because it's a QRF,
right?
A real world situation, and then having to get there and you can't even get to them.
Oof, yeah.
You still have to get all your equipment and move it all to them while securing the area, you know?
Exactly.
Without getting yourself hitting a secondary IED or hitting a second, you know, an ambush.
Right, because somebody heard the first one go off.
Right.
And so they decided to show up and see who was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for the viewers, explain what QRF is. I just learned maybe end of last year.
So QRF, when you go, you'll begin to practice it before you go on a deployment. And QRF stands for Quick Reaction Force. So that's anytime there's a unit that is out on patrol or any type of movement, we're always going to have a secondary team to back that team up should they come into contact with any enemy source. And so when they did, 09 was really high for IEDs, which is improvised explosion device or roadside bomb, which you commonly hear them as. That's what they were attacked by. And of course, it was at midnight. It was just very bad. It was a couple 155s that were there, so they were pretty big. If you don't know what a 155 round is, it's a pretty big round, incoming round, artillery shell, if you will. So it did a lot of damage, but to react to that, like I said, at midnight, your adrenaline instantly spikes, and we get back into that moment where we was talking about, do you have control of your mind? Where is your mind at when that adrenaline spikes at midnight?
Right.
So that was kind of a big thing. Like you said, I believe now, because we never had to do that. We never had to do any of them tests in our APFT as far as the carry. Yeah. But that would be good.
It would be. And so, and to put this into perspective for some of you guys, right? I can hit, so for MPs, I'm not sure what you guys have. MPs overseas, particularly in the Middle East, I can't speak for other areas, we're issued ACOGs, right? So I know I can hit you 300 meters on irons.
Yeah.
Right? Comfortably. I mean, at 500, 600 meters with an ACOG, that's nothing.
That's nothing.
That's absolutely nothing. And I know where you are because I know where I planted these IEDs.
Right.
And then I hear what's going on. I see you guys, right? But imagine it's pitch black. You have no idea as QRF responding to this team who's out there watching. So you're trying to see in pitch black. So I need some form. I mean, you have light discipline, sound discipline, best you can.
Yeah.
But in order for me to figure out where he's bleeding out from, I got to have at least a little bit of light. Did you guys use red lights or how? I mean.
So, back then, of course, we had our NVGs, night vision goggles, which don't believe anything you see on TV. When you look through an NVG, it does not look like what they show night vision on a camera that they're using in Hollywood.
Right.
What I want you guys to picture is I want you guys to picture the green you see on a night vision with a bunch of fuzzy inside of that.
Yeah.
And if you're not in a high-speed unit, you're only going to have, our original NVGs, just the one eye. So imagine when you're walking at nighttime, when our troops are walking at nighttime and they have night vision goggles, they only have night vision on one eye. The other eye sees complete pitch black.
Yeah.
So you got one good eye to look all the way around.
Yeah, and that throws you off until you get used to it.
Big time.
And that's the only one that I've used. Yeah, so that's actually what I was just about to say, depth perception. And then the other thing is when you do see light in it, that light is so bright and blinding, right? That it even throws you off even more in the other eye because only one eye is catching that light.
Yeah.
So even when it is, so people don't realize you can put out a cigarette from 500-600 meters away.
Still see it.
Yeah, easily.
And, for me, the one thing I can say is during that time, I was 19 and it was my very first experience in combat.
Got you.
And everything that I had trained for did not anything prepare me for that moment. And if I can recall back at 19 being that first one, the tunnel vision that set in with that.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, the tunnel vision. And I remember my squad leader calling me back, like, Martinez, get back over here because there could be a secondary trigger somewhere.
Yeah.
And what it was is I was trying to, there was still other things that needed to be done. And so I was trying to get them things done.
Right.
Taking initiative to do it, not realizing that this is what tunnel vision is and I'm focused on one thing.
Right.
But I should have my head on a swivel for everything.
Yeah.
And that's hard to do if you've never learned how to do that. You
know?
know?
It is. And the other thing is if somebody is out there 500, 600 meters away, they're probably laying down.
Oh, yeah.
So you're not seeing them standing up.
You ever been to Afghanistan? They got Merc holes, man. They'll stand inside of a building. And anybody that doesn't know what a Merc hole is, it's imagine being in a house and they'll cut a 24-inch circumference hole in the wall. And of course, it's easy to do because most of their houses are clay houses, easy, you know.
Yeah.
But 300-400 meters away, you're not going to see that.
Right.
You know, you just see a house, you don't see that hole.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they're sticking their barrels out the end of that hole and
Yeah.
just dumping,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and like I just said, at 300 with irons, and I mean, we're talking about with M4s and such. I'm not sure if I can hit that far with the AK. I'm willing to go test it out, see what we can do.
I'm sure it'll tumble pretty good.
That's for sure. Yeah, with irons, but it's just a different world that I don't know if today's soldiers can deal with. So the biggest difference we see now probably between your era and my era is we have transitioned into being significantly smarter. Mm-hmm. So we use a lot more technology. I know you were talking about the freaking super tiny drone. I saw it a couple days later after you talked about it with me, that China is now the mosquito drone.
Yeah, did you see that?
That thing is so tiny.
Isn't it? It's scary.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, makes sense coming from China since everything they have is small.
You're right. You're right. You know, and you know, the one thing that I have seen lately is I've seen some reels of footage from the Ukraine war.
Mm-hmm.
And being, you know, like I said, being that I'm a combat veteran, seeing that, I never seen drone war cross seas. And to me, my God, how scary is that, people? Like, I mean, have you ever seen these guys are literally running drones with RPGs attached to them, rocket-propelled grenades, and flying them into people, flying them into bunkers.
Yeah.
I mean, that's scary how you run from a drone at 60 miles an hour. You know what I'm saying?
There's no way, or even they're attaching gas to it now.
Yeah.
To be able to drop. So that's the other thing. Before, it's like, okay, you can hear or see certain types of things coming in. But the drone, you have no idea what it's carrying.
Man.
Until it gets close enough to you for you to start to figure that out. So if it is carrying, you don't know what to prepare for. Right. Is it an RPG? Is it gas? Is it different propaganda even?
And you know, that's the scary thing if it was gas. Because even if you had, you know, even if you had a weapon that could take that down, if your round hits whatever ordnance it's carrying, especially if it's gas, you're still done anyways if you got your mask.
That's what we were going through in Kelly, literally preparing for those things that they've seen in Russia and Ukraine. It was the largest exercise that the reserve has done in Army history.
Wow.
But one of those things was they gave us the colors to let us know, all right, if you see this color, respond this way. If you see this color, respond this way. And I had just gotten off of my shift, and this is another way. I want to know what you guys think, if you can handle this. Working 12s, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. in a different time zone. I'm a night owl, so it didn't bother me too much. As soon as I get off, I said, forget, child. I'm going back. I'm going to sleep. You're getting super sweaty. It's hot out. So it's 105 degrees that day. Sun coming through. No shade. We put these, you couldn't use regular tents because it had no breeze.
Yeah.
So you had to have this like camo netting that didn't actually stop the sun from coming through. Right. So the sun is still in my eyeballs as I'm sitting here trying to sleep. Man, as soon as I laid down, all you hear is
yeah.
Next thing you know, incoming gas.
Oh, man.
I'm like, bro, I just took my boots off, no blouse, no top, freaking plate carriers off, everything is off. Like, just took it off, just laid down. And I'm like, man, they let us know that they were going to be dropping real gas to see your response time. Now, nothing crazy, nothing that's going to but enough to let you know, like.
Right, some CX, or was it, what's the little pill they used to break? And
like the tablets, Yep. So they're giving you enough just to know, like, all right, you didn't get your gas, so this is real life. You know what I mean? This would have been a problem for you.
Yeah, and you know, I guess I've had and experienced moments like that cross seas to where, dog, I'm in my sandals right now. You know, I'm in PT shorts.
Yeah,
and we're rocking.
Yeah,
you know,
it's ready to go.
It's ready to go.
Fact. So I took a couple. You know, got the mask on. Got that in, threw the boots on at least, grabbed the rifle. I didn't grab I grabbed the plate, but I didn't blouse back up because it's time to go, right? So throw the plate. I'm like, all right, I at least want some plates on. If we were mocking it, but at the same time, that's what I would do in real life. So grab that, boom, and I'm thinking I'm getting ready to go to sleep, and I'm out pulling security, you know, trying to figure out where the threat's coming from and how they're hitting the camp. But I didn't have time to say, oh, well, I didn't get to go to sleep. Let me pretend that,
Right.
you know what I mean? I'm safe because I just got off shift.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There was one experience I had over there, and I woke up the next morning and told about it, but I was so tired. So I was on a task force 120, and our colonel would have us busy. We worked 6 days a week, and anywhere from at the minimum 10-hour days to an 18-hour day.
Yeah.
Depending if we got caught up in the moment too. Days could be longer, but I had Fridays off, so Saturday through Thursday we worked, and I was tired. So Thursday night I go to sleep, and I slept the whole night.
Yeah, I believe it.
But I woke up the next morning, and everything, and I was blessed, being on a task force. I had my own room.
Got you.
But everything on my walls was on the ground.
Oof.
And I'm like, dude, what the heck? And they were like, Martinez, where the heck were you? And I was like, what do you mean? They was like, we got rocketed last night.
That's insane.
What? I was like, I was so tired, I didn't even feel I slept.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Everything in the room tossed and turned, but you didn't. That's crazy.
I didn't, yeah. You literally get that tired across these,
Yeah, no, for sure. And then what people don't realize is you don't get to make the same excuses that you get to make here. Like
no,
you decide you want to call off at work.
Dude, did I tell you when I got sick over there?
Nah.
I got sick, and I think it was SARS. At the time, it was like swine flu. You know what I'm saying? We was deploying during all that. I had already been in country probably for about a good month and a half, and I was at this little fob called Fob St. Michael's. I got so sick. It was 125 degrees, and I had to wear all my winter weather gear. I was freezing. I don't know if it's like some type of desert sickness or some type of sickness they had over there, what it was. But bro, I was so deathly sick. Yeah. And they made me take the whole week off, and I couldn't do anything. Yeah. But I felt so bad because now you got to pull somebody from another team, which takes them down a guy. Yep. It's not, you're never just losing one guy when you're down on a team like that. We like to say, 2 is 1 and 1 is none. Yep. And that's so true.
It really is, because somebody has to then stay with you. You have to have a battle buddy with you, making sure you're good. Yeah. But at the same time, like you said, somebody being pulled somewhere else. And then we want to be in the fight. That's why we're here, right? To be there, yeah. So like if you don't want to be here, that answers the first question of if you're even ready for war, right? Because now, even if we're not necessarily saying that we like the gory parts, but at the same time, like I understand. And my personal view is this: if you are in shape and or smart, then you should minimally be reserved for some part of your life. Yeah. Because you are capable of contributing to what we have going on. And so if you are capable, you should at least go get the discipline. You should at least go get some structure in your life and come out as a better person. But at the same time, some of us who are cut from that cloth, that's not just the physical standpoint. That's not just the mental standpoint. It's also the ability to operate in those environments. Like I know at the end of the day, my team can rely on me to pull through when everything starts to get crazy. Yeah. And so because I know I can handle that, I should be there instead of somebody who's going to fold under it and then lose however many lives because they should have never been there in the first place. Like, we still need cooks. We still need HR. We still need somebody in finance to make sure we get paid. Go do those jobs, and there's nothing wrong with doing those jobs. Yeah. We need somebody in those roles. We don't need somebody who's supposed to be in finance holding a weapon because nobody's signing up or nobody can hit PT standards or nobody can stop, doing all the drugs that get you kicked out. Yeah. Or whatever it is. You can't pass the random drug test, you can't pass the boards to become an NCO or do whatever you need to make sure we have solid leadership in place. We have to be able to get, whether it's the recruiting numbers up to make it happen, whether it's reserve numbers up, that way we at least know that we have people to lean on, something, man, because where we stand now, I'm not sure how many civilians, if we had to go to war tomorrow, if there was a draft tomorrow, how many civilians would be ready to go overseas?
None. You know why? You cut that Wi-Fi off. Half of them are going to go.
For sure. So I don't know if I had told you this. When we were over in our training, they told us about this unit over in Ukraine. And they turned all of their devices in. everything that had any sort of Bluetooth, cellular, or Wi-Fi.
Oh yeah, you'd be tracked on all of it.
Facts. So one guy forgot that his toothbrush was Bluetooth.
No.
Bluetooth to an app on your phone so that you can see how well you're brushing, track the time, all of that.
No.
Whole unit tracked down, taken out from a Bluetooth toothbrush.
Speaking on that, man, even if it's back in the day, if it was a mechanic, you're still going to see that action because as a mechanic, your job then, and I heard they got a new unit for it, but if you were a light wheeled mechanic, you were still going out to bring back that down vehicle.
Right.
You know, you're going to have infantry around you, obviously a line unit around you for, you know, backup, protect, cordon the area off.
Yeah.
Cordon the area off means block it off. If you thought you were going in, man, I'm a mechanic, I'm not going to go anywhere. You better think again. You were going to go and get that down vehicle.
Even, I mean, drivers. So I know a lot of people think, oh, well, I'm a truck driver. Okay, well, bullets don't fly without supply.
You know, even more than that, on the task force, we found a cache, and we had to call a truck driver out because we found 9 2,000 round pound bombs. You know, how are we going to get them back? You're going to need a semi.
Yeah, that's true. Right. So, I mean, whether it's getting supply out there, pulling stuff like that out, I mean, the only way to do that. So then what does the enemy do if that's the case?
Oh, you're a big moving target, baby.
Exactly, right? And then if I can set up those IEDs on the pathway of your resupply, then you either can't resupply or your supply is blowing up.
Shout out to everybody that had to go up Route Liberty and Route Irish.
Yeah.
That was a very bad one. And if you ever have been on Route Irish or been at FOB St. Michael's or Camp Liberty, you know that route really good, especially if you wanted to hit the PX. You're going to have to go down it, and they knew it.
Yeah.
They knew it. They were going to be ready for you every day.
Yeah, there's definitely roads that you wouldn't expect it, that you still bump into that end. And, I mean, when those things start to happen, where you go is all based on your training and what you have. So for those who are being pulled randomly nowadays, if we were to get pulled, like you said, putting the phone down, whatever it is that you use for comfort here, it's gone.
Gone.
All
the way.
Yeah. And I don't think people are ready for that. I think you're going to start to have mental breakdowns. You're going to have even being separated from your partner.
Oh, man,
that's
yeah.
I feel like that's a whole episode within itself.
It is. I know going to basic, that kind of gets us in the shape of it. Mm-hmm. Once I had to go leave again, it was easier. It's still really hard.
Yeah.
You still have a detachment you got to break.
Right.
But after basic, you kind of have this mindset of like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
You know, but it's not easy, especially if you have kids, man.
Oh man. Yeah. I couldn't imagine having kids involved in that. And then in a wartime scenario, all right, you go from basic AIT straight to wherever you're headed.
Bro, let me tell you what, 2 weeks after I got out of AIT, because it was OSET, they already had orders for us.
Wow.
They had everybody was going to a unit that the Army had needs for.
Yeah.
Half of us went to 10th Mountain. The other half went to, we ended up going to Ranger School alerts or doing alert program or airborne. Yeah. Obviously, everybody goes to airborne after that before you can get to anything else.
Yeah.
So, it was instantly, and they told us, 07 is when I went in. They were like, look, every single one of you, you're deploying. You're going.
And that makes sense at that time. And now I think we're kind of ramping back up towards that. Which is why we chose this, topic, because you guys see what's going on, whether it's Ukraine and Russia that still hasn't ended, whether it's Iran and Israel, whether it's something else that hasn't even popped up yet, whether we decide to go ahead and have any sort of beef with China over Taiwan in the next few years. Like, there's always going to be something that happens, even if it's not something that we're looking at right now. Right. Something is going to pop up for various reasons. I mean, a lot of people who are cynical and don't like the military, they're like, oh, well, it's a money game. Well, that's not going to end just because you don't like it.
Right.
So guess what? We're still going to war. If that's the way you view it, if you view it as a machine, cool, we're still going to war. If you view it as us protecting liberties, if you look at it as us defending our people and our Constitution, that's still going to cause wars. If you believe that we're intervening in other countries' affairs and trying to make sure that they aren't going down negative paths. And I think people don't realize that sometimes too.
Yeah.
And this is going to be the last thing we talk about. All right. We will never be removed from the Middle East.
No, never. People asked that a long time ago, and I was like, man, we're never going to go anywhere. I don't care what anybody says.
We're not. Because we're fighting an ideal that is going to be continually perpetuated. And then they consider themselves fighting an ideal. We're not fighting a person.
Right. And you know, the one thing that goes with this topic is, you know, are you ready for war or go to war?
Yeah.
Is the one thing I can say is that, you know what, you're going to be very blessed if you were to go to somewhere like Ukraine, or if you were going to go to right now Korea, because a lot of people don't know Korea is still a war zone. If you get stationed there, you're not taking your family. You know that. It's still a war zone regardless. Just that like he's saying at the Middle East, we're not going anywhere. That's why we've never left Korea.
Yep.
And in that, man, it's different because when you have this mindset to go, it's when you get there, it's completely different.
Mm-hmm.
And if at all you thought you was ready, when you first get that very first experience of combat, it's nothing compared to what you expected, you know?
Yeah.
And that's tough. That's tough. And the other thing that goes along with that is at least you have uniforms and you're in Ukraine. You know who your enemy is.
Right.
In the Middle East, you don't have a clue who your enemy is.
Mm-hmm.
They're all in civilian clothes, just like this, just like what Mr. Carter's wearing. You know, you're not going to know who your enemy is. That's the scary part.
Yeah, and then that makes it even tougher and that's a lot of our jobs over there, fingerprinting, iris scanning, trying to keep track of who's there. And you have to do it to everybody because you don't know who's who at that point.
Everybody.
So since you have to do it to every single person, you got to try to filter through who knows who's connected to who. And that adds so many different resources that you need.
Oh, yeah.
On top of, so that's more equipment you're carrying out there. There's more people you're trying to protect.
Yeah.
While out there, non-combat or support roles is they're trying to help you do certain things. I mean, more security you have to set up around the facility. So engineers have to go in and build the freaking detention facility.
Yeah. Without anybody with no backup, really.
Yeah.
It's just engineers.
Facts. So, I mean, there's so much that goes into it, man. And I'm just curious to see what this next generation of Americans are able to do. Because on one hand, so many people down this next generation. On the other hand, I know that we have certain values in this country and certain things that we rally around that I'm hoping that if the time ever comes, that we're able to step up to the plate.
Man, and you know, the one big thing on that is we have to become united.
Yeah.
You know, our country is so divided right now.
It's insanely divided.
And, you know, the scary part to me is Michigan has a lot of things that they say, and it's I know you're from Michigan, Detroit here. You know, they say there's a lot of breeding grounds for different cells.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's awful scary, man.
It is, and it's similar to what you were just saying. It's the same thing here. You don't know
who your enemy is.
Yeah, so I can give you the benefit of the doubt, and then that can come back to bite me. But I also can't view every single person as an enemy.
As an enemy.
So then it's like, I mean, that's part of the goal behind it.
And you know, the weird thing is that this started way back in the Vietnam War, you know, when they had the jungle warfare.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they weren't able to tell it was Viet Cong.
Right.
Is what they called it. And they weren't in uniform.
Yeah.
You know, it was really hard. It makes it really scary. You know, you can't just be real easy on that trigger. You know?
Facts. Yeah, especially when now there's significantly more strict punishment.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of war crimes, hitting civilians accidentally. I mean, and then how do you even know whether they were truly a civilian or not? Because they can lie and say that person was a civilian.
Yeah.
You know?
Dude.
Or set you up to where, all right, I might have 2 or 3 insurgents in the house. One is not. And they set you up, that was a civilian that they shot. And then even if you don't get caught for it, that's still more morale for them.
Exactly.
Right? To be able to rally behind.
And what people don't know when that happens is that's more out of your pocket, because everyone that we kill that was not meant, or I should say unalived.
Yeah.
Taxpayers pay for that.
Literally.
That family we have to pay for that fault that we had. And a lot of people don't know that here. That still comes out of everyone who's watching. That comes out of your pockets.
Yeah.
When the training's not, and that goes back to training.
Mm-hmm.
If that muscle memory, because let me tell you, the moment you kick in a door, boy, your heart is flying about 1,000 miles a minute.
Yeah.
And you don't know who's behind that door.
You don't.
And a lot of the times what they do is they'll like to keep an AK tucked behind a bar. And they'll stand there because then they don't know. You don't know because you can't see what's behind that bar, but they know, that there's something there waiting for you.
Yeah.
You know, so it's training like that and hitting CQB. I'm sorry, that was the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
It's tough, bro. It's tough.
Yeah, I had a situation like that actually here in the States from my own family member that you have to have positive target identification before you do anything else. That's our fancy term for it.
Yeah.
That's pretty much know what the heck it is that you're pointing your gun at, right? So I went to my mother's house in Detroit, and she was working thirds as a nurse, right? So she was at work, but she came home sick early. I didn't know it. I'm asleep on the couch. All I hear is somebody coming through the door.
Scary.
Yeah, so first thing I do, I mean, this is the inner city, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, of course, I had the weapon right next to me. I went ahead, was able to draw. I didn't point it at her, had it ready, low ready, and I'm sitting here looking. And that was a real world example of somebody who doesn't train, somebody who doesn't have that awareness to take that half second even before covering. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Could have easily been flagging my mother and or firing on her.
You know, a lot of the times what I notice, and I don't want to blame law enforcement here in the States, because I know when someone is hurt because of a shooting, a lot of the times it's because lack of training and they're scared.
Yeah.
You know, when someone's scared, that amount of pressure on a trigger is so light.
Yeah.
And if you have not used it enough and you don't know how much tension to put on your trigger,
exactly,
you will accidentally let that thing go
where
off.
that breaking point is.
Yes.
How much take up it has, training with your weapon specifically. Like I can tell you on each of my weapons exactly where that point is.
Oh yeah.
You know,
you can feel it.
Yeah, exactly. And like, so like my 1911 trigger, I've lightened even. So trigger on my 1911 is like 2.5 pounds. It's
bro, that's
light.
insane.
It
you
is.
don't have to touch that thing.
Exactly, right? So I already, that one's cocked and locked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I'm not fooling around with the fact that I lighten that and the grip safety.
Yeah.
But I train with my weapons and I know that point on every single one of them. You know?
And that takes me back to your first point, what you was talking about at the beginning of the episode, is how you trained.
Yeah.
And exactly what I said, you train how you fight. Because how you train, when you actually get into the position what you're going to do, it doesn't have to be fighting. It can be for your work. It can be for your daily routine. If you don't practice what you're doing exactly how you do it when you do it, it's going to be a complete failure.
Yeah, it is. So even with, that's a good example. Let's take this out of that context. When I would train people for the gym, okay, I say for the first 21 days, you're going to have off days, but those off days, you're still going to go to the gym.
Yeah.
Get on the hydro massage, stretch a little bit, walk on the treadmill. Like, you know, you're not going to work out, but you're going to show up at the same time.
Yeah.
Because you're ingraining that habit. You're creating that pathway in your brain. You're telling yourself that you're going to do something and then you accomplish it. So when you get to that point, there's going to come a point in those 21 days where you didn't eat. Your kids are texting you. They need something. There's going to be something that's going to try to stop you from making it that day. But if you can get past that day in those 21 and still show up, what's going to happen is once you get to 28, 29, 30 days, 40 days, 50 days, your body's going to feel weird if you don't show up to the gym.
Yeah. And to teach you guys something real quick on what he just said, a new word, you will create what we call a new neural pathway.
Yep. That's the word right there, a neural pathway. And we're going to talk about that a bit more in some of the upcoming episodes. We have plenty of content coming for you guys, whether it's military content, mental health content, helping you become more healthy as a human all the way around. And we're so excited that we get to bring this content to you. That being said, on the website for Classic Man Podcast, at the bottom, there is a tab if you would like to give or support the way that we do things to be able to bring you guys content and focus on bringing you things that matter to you. All of that goes towards supporting, being able to bring you information, ways to grow, and content. Support us on there. We're going to have more episodes for you guys. This conversation isn't over, but we just want to make sure that we respect your time and break these things up. We look forward to seeing you soon on the Classic Man Podcast.
Brother, if this episode didn't challenge your thinking and resonate with you, you just weren't really listening. I'm Justin Kashmirchek, founder of the EGT Universe, and it's been a pleasure being here with you on this journey. If you know someone who's starting a business, rebuilding their brand, or just needs a serious digital upgrade, hit me up. I'm at JumpCutKing on Instagram, or head over to egtuniverse.com. That's egtuniverse.com, and drop me a line. Also, show some love to Carter and the crew behind Classic Man. Head over to classicmanpodcast.com for all the guest info, all the official links, and bonus content. Also, chip in. Buy me a cup of coffee. Let's be real. If we as men don't show up together, don't band together, we can't grow together. So check back here every week, same time, you're on your favorite podcast platform for the most up-to-date content. Don't get caught slipping. Stay connected. We'll see you right here, Classic Man Podcast, next time.